welcome to the Bangers and Mosh podcast, the only podcast that kicks mythical creatures in the nards. I'm joined today by Sam Bean from Werewolves. How are you, brother?
Fantastic. I've just finished fucking wrestling my laptop with both hands just to make a simple Zoom meeting work. Like, it
Yeah,
seems to be kind of like how things are going these days. Nothing works anymore. Like nothing.
yeah,
But yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm great.
good. I got some of these parking tickets the other day, and I thought of you. I don't know if you can see that. It's like a fixed penalty notice because you park like a cunt.
Jeez, we should probably sell that from the web store.
Oh yeah, yeah. There you go. Just brand it up, mate.
Mm.
So Werewolves album number 6 is coming.
Yes, yeah, Park. I'm just about losing count. We've been mixing and mastering it. We finally got like the finished masters with like all song titles and samples like slotted in it near the end of last week. I'm not sure if the label's heard it yet, so I can't announce the title for it, but
Yeah,
I can, I can definitely talk about it. There's so many surprises, long proggy bits, like lots of flange psychedelia. Nah,
yeah. I was gonna say, fucking hell, really? No.
no, just like black and evil, hateful blast beats. If there's a big difference with this one, when I heard it, like most of them I listen to it and I get the mix and master back and I'm like, yeah, it's cool, high five myself, like pat myself on the back, all that shit.
Yeah.
This time I got to the end and I was like, it's too much. It's too fucking heavy. Like I said to the guys, I think I think we've made the album that's just like too unlistenable. Like it's one of the surprises I can give away. There's not a soft song on this. There's no like slow song,
Yeah.
where we kind of like, dial it just back a little bit. It's all of it is just screechingly, horrifyingly brutal and heavy. There's no guests on it. Like the only people we asked heard the song, heard the music, and were like, no, no fucking way, no. Um, so it's yeah, like I think this might be the one finally where like we put the album out and everyone's just like, nah, you've gone too far. It's just too much.
Oh mate, I
So
can't wait
we'll
to hear it.
see.
Um, how does the sort of writing process sort of go for you guys then? Because you kind of got like 5 albums in 5 years, so the riff
Mm.
factory seems to be running quite smoothly in the Werewolves
Uh,
camp. So
it's Riff Factory. That's a strange name for Matt, but
yeah,
yes. Yeah, no, it's look, it's never really changed. Matt will sit down, caffeinate hard, and then write an album in a week. He usually does that, like usually the same week he's writing another album. He loves like doubling and tripling up.
you fuck.
Uh, yeah, we'll get it, and we usually get it like a year right. We're now a year behind him, and he's slowing down for us as well.
Oh,
Um, yeah, so album number 7 is already sitting there waiting for me to learn it.
oh
But
my God.
yeah, it's been sitting there like since last year, waiting for me to learn it. But I've got something else to do before that. We've got Dave's just finished recording drums like, a couple of days ago for Faustian album number 2,
Okay.
which is the black metal band that we
Mm.
do. We've done one album for We Come as Angels. So yeah, like this one I'm really looking forward to doing, but I'll just get back to Werewolves for a second.
Yeah, that first
Um,
Folksian album I think we did, it was really, really sick.
Thank you. Oh, look, this one is the same. I reckon it will be the same leap in quality between. I'm not sure if you've heard the Antichrist Imperium, but the same leap between album 1 and 2 with that, I think that will be the same with Faustian. It's like
Oh
just
wow.
a huge step forward. Um, but which band was it? Which album was it? Werewolves, that's right.
Yeah.
Number 6, writing. So yeah, just like Matt punches out all the riffs. Dave is like we have to. These days he's mega busy. Like everyone knows he plays in every band in existence. So it's usually just finding a slot like in his calendar, and jumping into there. He'll do the drums, and then it's on to me. Before we used to like really take pleasure in being able to like punch out all the bass and vocals just in a few weeks after getting everything. These days, I like to take my time a lot more. So the last album, I kind of really pushed the envelope by doing 2 vocal recording sessions just instead of doing it all crammed into one day.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll probably do the same thing again with this one. Yeah, that's how we go about that. Hasn't really changed. The whole, when it boils down to it, the whole reason it goes so fast, it's like how much Matt writes, and everyone sort of knows their place as well. So there's no sort of like big debates about, you know, whose bit gets to go in which song kind of stuff. Like it's like Matt writes it, Dave drums it, I finish it off with bass and vocals. We'll all listen to it at each step of the way and maybe go, scrub this, that, change this, that. It's all pretty bare bones. And then we work with the same people for like, reamping studios and all that sort of stuff that we've always used. Like I know some people or a lot of bands think you have to change that up every album. With us, it was very
Mm,
much no. Find the people that you work well with, and use them again and again, because the people who can work at that sort of pace and
yeah.
quality are pretty rare. Um, yeah, so
It,
yeah, it's just about who you work with. That's
it's
that's
good.
the
It's good to
secret.
develop the sort of the relationships and that as well with people like that because they know exactly what you need and what you want and what you expect, and you don't have to constantly keep reiterating things and stuff like that. So it makes
Yeah,
everything
and
quite smooth.
yeah, communication's a big one as well. It means that if you're trying something that's just flat not working, they can tell you and no one gets out of joint or anything like that.
Mm,
Um, and they know you well enough to know like if you can do better, like that really is important, I guess, with vocals. Like I use a guy called Jack Hartley. I've used him now for all the Werewolves albums. So I probably see him more than I see most of my normal friends, like just for recording that much.
yeah.
Um, yeah, and he's good at that. He'll hear a take and he'll be like, "You can do better than that." And he knows when to push and when he's like, it's diminishing returns. Just stop for today or have a cup of tea and a break, and so that really helps.
Yeah. Yeah, it's important to have someone that's looking after you, like pushing you to your limit,
Yeah,
so so real quick then we'll jump into some bits about you. Did you have music around you when you were growing up as a young Sam?
yeah. I wouldn't really call it that much of an influence. Like, neither of the parents are really musicians. We
Hmm.
had a piano in the house. So I think they were besotted with the idea of my sister learning piano as, a classy thing for a kid to do.
Yeah.
Um, uh, I guess the only musical person around me might have been this grandpa I had, who was like Austrian background, Teutonic as hell. Old
Oh,
boy, really,
oh
really
wow.
intimidating. Yeah, and it's like he'd be every now and then he'd like just jump on the piano, and he wouldn't, you know, hit out any honky tonk or any like fun party stuff. It would be these like really grim Wagner-esque like sort of
Oh my God.
yeah heavy fucking pieces. And I just remember sometimes like peering around the corner watching him just like you know
Just really
getting
getting
into
into
it.
it, like, yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
Um, but the musical taste in the family was really, yeah, I guess it was sort of mainstream for that time. I can remember the Doors, Kenny Rogers, Electric Light Orchestra,
Mm,
uh, that's that sort of stuff. And I guess anyone around my age that era, you got exposed to a lot of Oz rock, stuff like Midnight Oils, Cold Chisel, In Excess, and it took until this age, I guess, to really realize how progressive or good those bands
yeah.
actually were. We grew up in a rare time. Uh, I've I'll I'll give you the short version of the musical journey.
Yeah.
Hated metal. I can remember seeing Motorhead playing on the Young Ones on the Bambi episode.
Oh yeah.
Uh, and I'd always fast forward through it. I was like, it's just noise. It's shit. It's noise. I
Oh,
hate it. Yeah, I know, right? I saw Lemmy with his like warts and was he playing that big Rickenbacker and the flares? And I was just like, oh, it's total shit. Who's the fucking mongoloid moron who listens to this and enjoys it? Bah. Um, I guess first musical love was, and this is similar for a lot of people who are into like our sort of music. It was hardcore gangster rap. So it would have been NWA back when they were starting.
nice.
Just because I loved all the swearing and I thought it was so funny.
Yeah.
And And then that got me, I guess, into PE, Public Enemy. I think around the time they'd done A Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back. Uh, and
Great album.
yeah, and then I think that was when Ice-T had done the Lethal Weapon EP, all that sort of stuff. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, so I was kind of getting into that, and I found a taste for music that got up people's noses. After that, I think someone like lent me, a mate of mine like was listening to Aerosmith. They just had their comeback album with Fine, which I still love, like, and especially the bass tone on that album is just so good. Um, and I was listening to that and I was headbanging to it and I was like, yeah, this is so fucking heavy. Anyway, I went to this really posh school and words, no one else really listened to that stuff except for one or two like people. And one of them, this guy called James Watkin, heard that I thought I was this metalhead listening to really heavy stuff. And I got back to my study one day and he was kind of like waiting for me there, like, Western, you know,
Yeah.
you know, and he's like, so, Bean, I hear you think you're listening to heavy music. And I was like, yeah, man, Aerosmith, it's so hardcore. And he goes, uh-huh. He goes, this is Slayer's Running Blood. You're borrowing it for a month. He handed me a tape, just like a tape copy, and he goes, give it back to me after a month. See what you think. Um, I was like, anyway, I listened to it and I thought it was just so hilarious. I could not stop laughing. Um, and I thought it was total shit. I thought it was like complete noise. But I liked putting it on because like it got up people's noses. We were in this big open study area, and like, I just have the tape on pause with the volume all the way up, and just when everyone's like in their flow, I'd take pause off, and it'd just be like,
Yeah.
Kerry King's solo would drill into their ears and fuck up everyone's concentration. So I liked it for that. Um, then one day, the school's best drummer like walked past while I was listening to it, and he goes, You're listening to Slayer." I was a huge nerd. He's like, "You're listening to Slayer?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, I know. It's like complete shit." And he goes, "No, no, 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 no." He goes, "That's probably the best drummer in the world you're listening to right there." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" It's just going, I still think that about drummers too, by the way. No, just kidding. Uh, anyway, he goes, "No, no, no." He sat down and he broke down what the hands were doing. And he's like, that,
Yeah.
sound. And I was like, "What? That's probably just toms and stuff." And he goes, "No, that's his feet." And that fucking blew me away. I know for a lot of people, the drummer is kind of like the gateway musician that gets them, that kind of like tweaks them to the amount of skill like that's involved in
Yeah.
playing metal.
Yeah.
And that was it for me. Like I heard that and I was just like, holy shit. When he broke it down, then my ear knew what to listen for. And I had a similar thing with a guitarist coming past, like going, Jesus Christ, he's just ripped out the fastest. I don't know who that guitarist is. He's just ripped out the fastest, like pentatonic, but he's just like doing some weird whammy bar stuff at the end. I was like, it's dumb, right? And he goes, no, it's very deliberate. Like it's. So I was really lucky to have people sort of clue me into it.
Yeah.
And that got me past the first, I guess, few weeks of like, which normally fucks most people off when they try and listen to this sort of shit. Uh, and uh, and then of course, it's a great album, and songs were starting to catch, and I was getting it. And then James turned up at the end of the month and said, "What'd you think?" And I was like, "Have you got any more?" Uh, and yeah, then I found all the very few metalheads or the people who had the older brother or sister listening to metal. So like my collection then went from Slayer to I got into Creator. I started with the Coma of Souls album.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, God, that's so good. Like the first riff, like from When the Sun Burns Red, I still think is one of the heaviest ones ever. But yeah, I worked through entire catalogs. I was very late with Metallica. Like I don't know what it was, but like I thought it wasn't going to be heavy enough.
Mm.
But I fortunately someone hit me with Master of Puppets, and that album's undeniable. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Pure
um,
fucking force of nature, that album.
Oh, again, it's so good. It's just all come together, and it's great to listen to after years of playing in bands as well, because you can sort of see how many elements have come together at the same time, not just with musicianship and writing and skill, but also finding the right producer, like who knew what they were trying to do and had the equipment and the skills and experience to like help them put it all together as well. It's just like it's a fucking moment. Um, and speaking of moment, like when I'm getting into all this stuff, it was around 91, 92. So that's the era where Earache and Roadrunner are just coming out with bangers, like,
Yeah,
every month. You see sometimes on those, like, everyone loves posting on Facebook these days, oh, this album came out like, 30 years ago or whatever sort of thing. And sometimes you'll see, like, in 1 month, you'll get, like, Morbid Angel, like, with one of their first three albums, and Boltra and, Sepultura, like, everyone just releasing, like, a classic
yeah,
still 3 decades later, all in the same month. And little idiot me just thought, well, this is how it is all the time. Like, so it was a great era to get into metal. Like,
yeah,
if your antenna was already sort of poking in that direction, you were picking up amazing releases on a monthly basis. And the radio shows were there. And again, I was really lucky because in 92, the big bands, Australia became a destination for bands to tour. Like, Sepultura came over on the Arise tour. Um, Morbid Angel had their first tour of Australia to support Blessed Are the Sick. When they were in their full devil worshipping, like codpiece wearing, drug taking, like
yeah,
peak,
oh,
with Brunel in the band, like who I thought was a fiendish axeman.
yeah,
And Slayer started coming over as well. So, like, and we had amazing local bands. So yeah, it was just a really, really great time to be into it. Like, it was really sparking, a lot was going on. And of course, you see bands in their prime like that, you want to play it.
yeah.
You you got to play it. I think I was on track to be a lawyer or something like that. And then
Oh,
last,
really? Fucking hell.
yeah,
What?
I was going to this school where it's like you go on to become lawyers or judges or Queen's Counsel sort of thing.
Oh, okay.
Um, and I've completely fucked up my results the last 2 years of school. I was, all I wanted to do was break into the music school part of like the campus and just like play every instrument, like play
Oh,
drums, try and work out what Mick Harris was doing in Napalm Death, like, you know, try and work out how to fast pick like on a guitar, or like get the biggest chug sound, or or hit artificial harmonics and make like, the windows rattle. That, that's all I wanted to do. It was so powerful. It just took over everything.
yeah.
So yeah, completely fucked up school. And
Can't imagine you as a
yeah,
judge with one of those wigs on and like smashing the game and being like, 20 years, you can't.
no, death.
Deaf, yeah, deaf.
Yeah.
So, do you remember what the first albums you bought, like with your own sort of like money? Do you remember?
Yes. I
Cool.
know exactly which ones I bought. So me and a mate like sort of got into it at the same time.
Hmm.
And we were living in a small town called Geelong. And I bought Realms of Chaos by Bolt Thrower,
Oh, sick.
uh, as well as Morbid Angel's Blessed Are the Sick,
Yeah,
which had just come out, and he got Altars of Madness. And we sort of like shared our copies of that.
yeah,
So those were the first ones. It was mostly about tapes back then. Um, I can't remember what. Oh, I can remember one of the earlier tapes I bought was Brutal Truth, Extreme Conditions Demand
oh,
Extreme
okay.
Responses.
Yeah.
And I remember I was up I was up in the big city. I was like up in Melbourne, like I was supposed to, I think, spend the money on like applying for my driver's license, and I spent it on that tape instead.
Oh,
I
mate,
was like,
what a move.
I don't need transportation. I need blast beats. Like,
That's
that's what
it.
I need.
That's that is fucking awesome, mate. It's like, how did it go?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. The blast beats are cool. Oh man. So
Oh, yeah.
was that like, were they your first show? Did you go to those shows? Were they like the first live shows that you went to?
I missed Sepultura, but the very first show I saw, and it fucked me up for life, was the Morbid Angel show.
Oh
Um,
wow,
yeah,
wow.
and it was so good. It was so good. Like, um, uh, here's how good it was. Like, I caught up with Gunter Ford, who's their manager, like one time when I was in the US. And what many people don't know is like in their earlier years, like for the first few albums, Gunter was not only their manager, but he was their live mixer. Um, and like I still think his mix of them is like incredible. It's so savage. Like,
Yeah,
you know, the the solos were like lightning storms trading off. Vincent's vocals were like the fucking sky just tearing in two. It was just like every now and then I'll get a clear memory of it. It was so good. Anyway, I caught up with him in New Jersey one time, and like, and it was the first time we'd met, and I was like, "Oh, dude, just got to mention, at the time I was on Berserker, which was Zero Records. I was
yeah.
like, just to let you, I gave him the story about how I was going to be a lawyer, and then I saw Morbid Angel, and that fucked it for me. And now, like, here I am. The dominoes have fallen. I'm playing on an earache band, and I'm in the States. And I was like, man, I just had to let you know that story. And he goes, well, check this out. And he's got his lanyards. He's just flipped them up, and he's just gone, bloop, and he had the Australian one. And I was like, oh shit, man. I bet you carry all your lanyards everywhere. And he goes, no, he's like, I've just got like, my top five. And he goes, that's the Australian tour in 92 was the favorite one for me and also for the band. He goes,
Wow,
because no one had been out there. It was our best shows performance wise. And he's like, and we just got treated so well. Like, it was everyone was rabid for it, but also at the time I think it was Modern Invasion, a import label that brought them out here, but also booked the shows. And they're metal as fuck. Like, and that guy would have maxed his credit card out like with strip clubs and oysters, like
yeah.
Daniel from Modern Invasion. Um, so uh, yeah, like it was one of the most memorable tours. So like yeah, that one was a big influence on me. I think the next two or three big ones I saw was Slayer on their Divine Intervention tour.
Oh, nice.
Um, oh, again, so good, and it's really funny because like when I kind of listen to the Slayer back catalog, I always forget about Divine Intervention. It's just
Mm.
a bit of a blind spot for me. But now I
Yeah,
listen to it, I'm like, um,
it's a great underrated album that in their back catalogue. To be honest,
yeah, it's just
I
the
never gets
opening
overlooked.
track. It's just
Yeah,
the
yeah,
opening track, which is a bit wank.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
And then the rest of it's amazing. It's something that again we're really uh, aware of as a band, that your opening track has to be a fucking banger.
yes,
Um,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. It's not so
otherwise,
good if
like,
it's like wanky or like one of those weird sort of interlude instrumental
yeah,
fucking. Yeah, you just got to get straight into it.
yeah. If the opening song is fucking staunch, then people can make
Yeah.
it through. People can make it through the album, like even if like it tails off a bit. But if the opening one's crap, doesn't matter how good the rest of it is.
Mm.
Like, it's hard to get past. Um, anyway, Bolt Thrower came out and they supported, I think it was the For Victory tour.
Fucking hell.
So it's a couple of years later. Yeah,
Yeah.
that one was one of the most brutal, like, crowd wise gigs I've been to. Like, I was in the front row for that. There was people like backflipping like off stage, like, yeah.
Oh God.
Um, and I remember I had a row of bruises across my ribs for like 2 weeks just from how hard everyone was just like smashing into each other. And I was just holding on to it for grim life. I was in front of Joe Bench. Nothing was moving me from that
Yeah,
spot at the
yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah. Too true.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Um, so we had that. Brutal Truth also toured as well, but I think that might have been like more around the mid 90s. Um, so unfortunately, it was the Kill Trend Suicide
Mm,
album, which is
mm.
uh, Carcass toured Hard Work,
Oh, fucking
with
hell.
Carlos Regueras, I think, on
Yeah.
guitar. Uh,
Well, thank God
yep.
for people that out in Australia that can kind of, because obviously it's like fucking the other side of the world. So for a lot of these
Mm.
bands to like be able to come out there and play, like it's huge, isn't it? You know?
Yeah, and the great thing as well is like you sort of, again, you get a bit older and you get to chat with them or whatnot, and it's really cool to you're kind of like all ecstatic when they visit. It's like, oh my god, they're coming! Ah, holy fuck!
Yeah, yeah.
These days, there's lots of bands touring, and it's like,
Mm.
cool. I might go there if I'm not too busy after work, but
Yeah,
um,
yeah, yeah, totally.
but you get what was it? You speak to them, and they're just like, yeah, we were so ecstatic to get down there. It's just such an exotic, far away place.
Yeah.
And it's just such a cool thing to hear. You don't think of your own, country like that.
Mm. Yeah, I suppose everyone sort of takes things for granted in that sort of respect, but I'd love to come and visit, but like I'm not keen on the spiders and the snakes and stuff. Like, don't want to be
Uh,
killed by shit like that. Fuck that.
honestly, chavs are more dangerous like than spiders and snakes, man.
Oh fuck,
Like,
is it? Yeah. Shit. Fucking
yeah,
hell.
it's always I always find it bizarre people like going, oh, I'm scared of Australia because of the spiders and snakes, and like especially when it comes from Yanks. Like I'm like,
Yeah.
don't you have fucking mountain lions and
Yeah.
bears and
And fucking
and,
guns.
and rattlesnakes
Machine
and like
assault rifles.
incels and shit? Like
Yeah,
just
yeah.
your country's far more fucking dangerous than
Oh
ours.
yeah,
Like
that's true. That
sn
is true.
snakes run off like if the minute they hear footsteps, like unless they've found a really good patch to sunbake in. Like I live on the edge of a national park here. We get
Oh,
koalas in
nice.
the tree in the backyard here.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and so I've lived here 4 years now. I still haven't seen a snake.
Oh, nice. There you go.
I might just be really unobservant.
Well,
Um, but
the snakes are just minding their own business, just chilling,
mm,
you know.
spiders again will sort of like want to stay away from you. You just got to know, it's just you just got to be not stupid and put your hands inside small holes and stuff here. And
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
you open your letterbox and you have a look in before you put your hand in, it's that sort of country. As long as you do
Yeah.
that, you're cool. Yeah.
Yeah, man. So this is the part which I've been quite excited to talk to you about. Like when you first sort of started playing in bands, was like the Berserker the first thing that you went into?
Yeah, I played with some mates in a band at school, and we played twice. One time doing a cover of Morbid Angels Visions from the Dark Side, which went well. And then one time doing a cover of Morbid Angels Abominations, which didn't go so well. It was we
Oh.
fucked it so bad. We fucked it so bad. We just kind of like went and stopped it halfway through. Um, it was yeah. I sometimes wake up like remembering that, going, oh.
Oh no,
Um,
cold sweats.
but but yeah, yeah. But apart from that, Berserker was the first proper, band that I did, and basically Luke, the main Berserker guy, had been working with all various sorts of guitarists for a couple of years before I met him, and was kind of like writing originals. But he's an intense personality, so like usually I'd work with someone for one song, and then they're like, "I've had enough of you," and off they go. And at the time, he was also DJing a lot, and he did remixes for Earache for like Morbid Angel and Deicide. Um, and at the time, he was like over in, I think, Germany, like living there and based there, and like playing things like the Fuck Parade in Berlin and really big sort of like gabba gigs. And Dig approached him and was like, "Do you have, we love the remixes. Do you have any original stuff?" And he's like, "Yeah, these piece together jigsawed like tracks he'd done with a variety of guitarists and vocalists. And they said, well, give us an album and you've got a record deal. And he's like, all right, cool. So he came back to Australia basically with a record deal from Earache, a bunch of stuff already written, uh, but no guitarists like at the time he wanted to work with him.
Oh,
And if they, yeah. And I was going to say, like, uh, Australia is the kind of place where if you came back with that earache record deal, like in the 90s, a lot of people would have thought you're just talking out your ass anyway. They're like, yeah, whatever. Um, I guess the one good thing I got from my schooling was like it was a lot of people were like the sons of princes or rajas or like, you know,
Fucking
famous
hell.
business people. Yeah. So for me, like, you know, there wasn't really any limits. Anything was kind of possible because I'd seen it and sort of grown up with like that sort of stuff around me.
Hmm.
Um, so when it, so it made me really gullible growing up. But it also meant that when Luke turned up, like going, yeah, I've got a record label deal with Earache. I was like, of course you do. Like, do you need a guitarist? I'll do it. Um, it is
Fuck.
absolute fucking punisher back in the day, but I guess stuck with it.
Yeah.
You know, there's we I guess wrote a bunch more demos as well to go with the old material.
Yep.
And then at the time, I think he'd met Devin Townsend and the Strapping Young Lad guys, and was like, yeah, Luke was always kind of like looking at the next biggest person he could work with.
Yeah.
So yeah, we did all the guitars and vocals, and then he's like, "Oh, I've met the Strapping guys. I'm going to fly to Canada and record it with them, with Devin Townsend, who had just done City at the time."
Oh, mate, great album.
Yeah, I love that album, and
Hmm.
you know, fair enough. Like you've got a crew like that who'll work your debut Earache album with you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so
Any,
huge, man.
yeah. Anyway, you got over there, and they just couldn't do it. Couldn't do it or wouldn't do it. I'm not sure which one. Um, but yeah, he ended up coming back to Australia like almost broke and had to spend his last bits of money on getting the equipment to basically self-record it.
Fucking hell.
And I was like, and you know, he said, "Are you in?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, of course I am." Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
just you know, these days I'm kind of like, you know, he should have fucking stuck with you first, like. But at the time, I was just kind of like, "Fuck yeah, this is my big chance." And it's funny, I do go back and I look at my life and just it was, you know, it's changed my life like
Mm.
massively. You know, it doesn't, as I quite often say to people, it doesn't matter how good the spreadsheet you do at work is or the marketing campaign, you know, people will forget you like minutes later. Whereas this fucking crazy grind death metal bullshit trip I've been on for the last, what, 26 years now, um, that looks like it'll probably have a lot more legs over anything that I've done like in my day jobs.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of history, isn't it? You created
Yeah.
with that. You know, I remember hearing No One Wins. I think that was a song from To Simulate on an earache sampler. And I was just
Yeah.
like, fuck. And like, you know, I was quite young at the time and I was into sort of Slipknot and all that sort of stuff. And then this came out and I was like, fucking hell. And the masks and stuff were just like absolutely terrifying. And, you know, I shouldn't have really been
Mm,
into it, but I loved it. So that was like a big step in to like more extreme side of metal for me. So I
yeah.
absolutely fucking love the Berserker.
Thanks, man. It's we kind of worked as a bit of a gateway band to extreme metal, but in a
Mm,
different way. Like I know a lot of people like listen to it and we're like, "Holy fuck!" And then they'd dial it back down to something just like Cannibal Corpse or Dying Fetus or
yeah,
whatnot. So instead of it normally being like I went sort of, you know, from hard rock AC/DC, then to like, you know, Metallica, then to Slayer, and then to like, you know, Morbid Angel. Yeah, nah, people were hurling all that shit, banging into us, and then just like going, "Oh, right, let's like check out some of the easier listening." Yeah.
yeah. We were just talking about the Berserker and sort of stuff like that. So, Sam, whose idea was it to get involved with the masks?
Oh, Luke's like at the end of the day, it was like Luke's band.
Oh, sick.
You know, is very much sort of like the executive producer, I guess. Um, yeah, he found the masks like at various locations from a few sources, but all of them were like heavily modified.
Oh, wow.
And he did that himself. So that was a crash
Wow.
course in sort of like latex and ceramics and you know that sort of and painting as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, he kind of had a very clear vision of what he wanted, like in his mind with it.
Oh, that's, yeah. I mean, oh, that band, man. I wish I'd have kind of seen you guys live. Did you come out? You must have come over UK way a couple of times.
Oh yeah, I was going to say, yeah, we only played there like on a part of a world tour that we did. The Year 8 Christmas party, like
Mm.
in 2002, we did like a tour of the UK then. That was our first tour. Um, and then Matt and I moved to England from 2005.
Oh wow.
And yeah, so we did a tour a year for I think 3 or 4 years. In England.
Yeah.
Did a few laps. So that was with Dave Gray from Akakoka on drums.
Oh, sick.
Uh, yeah, myself, Matt, and Luke.
Yeah, because I think they were they sort of programmed drums on the albums.
Yeah, except for Dissimulate, where
Oh, okay.
Gary played them, and they were just like triggered for that album. But yeah, the rest of them was programmed.
Mate, fucking drumming is unbelievable. Like just a man possessed.
Yeah, it's something that I'm surprised people haven't really sort of like picked up and run with a bit
Mm.
more than they have. Like I know Noel and Uthrak have had a couple of moments where they'll throw in a big banging like gabba kick drum just for a quick interlude, but the whole hyper speed thing where like yeah, it really goes off its nut. Um, yeah, like yeah, there's a lot more scope to do that and have it sound great these days.
Yeah.
And I'm just yeah, I guess surprised that no one's really sort of gone with it. I think the deathcore crowd has, but they just sort of like stick to bass drops.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
and they tend to, where we would have like fully stepped on the metal, like stepped down on the pedal and gone hell for leather, they tend to take those moments to go halftime. Well, like the kicks might be blazing away in sixteenths, like high 200s, or maybe even in the threes, but yeah, the snare then like will go halftime, or they'll go for a breakdown instead of just like finding something even more psycho to do. So yeah,
Yeah. Oh, bless them. Good old deathcore bands, eh? Fucking hell. Remember when that was like a thing? It all blew up
yeah.
on MySpace back in the day and stuff. Oh,
MySpace. We're giving our ages away here, dude.
yeah, yeah. So right, you're on tour. What's your go-to like comfort TV shows, films, albums? Do you have anything like that?
No.
Like, no, just fucking pure carnage.
No, oh, like back in the day, we used to, when we toured the States, we were, I guess, one of the first metal bands to do it in a motorhome.
Okay,
Every yeah, everyone was very much like of this mind that you had to do it in a van and it had to be fucking
Sprinter
miserable and
van.
brutal. And
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, like that was what they're all about. And that would lock them in as well to like a booking agency because the booking agents would have, they'd hire out the splitter van, which you couldn't drive on an ordinary international license. But you could get a motorhome with even more storage, more room, more luxury, beds, bathroom, kitchen, the whole fucking bit. And you could drive that like on an ordinary license.
wow.
So our first tour of the US, like we realized pretty much earlier on that you just basically captured, indentured, and we weren't at all cool with that. That led to like we had 3 session musicians and all three of them went fuck this and fuck you and like left at the end of that tour.
Oh my
Um,
God.
so the next time we went back, it was about motorhomes. And I remember at the end of, uh, God, I forget what it was called. It might have been the Art of Noise or the Summer Slaughter Tour. I forget. It was like the first in a series, but that was the one we did with Noel, Napalm Death, Strapping Young Lad, and Dark Tranquility.
Oh,
Um,
what a lineup.
yeah, I know, right? We
Bloody
were
hell.
opening, we were opening for that shit. Like Niall had just done
Fuck.
In Their Darkened Shrines, so
Oh
they were
my God.
yeah, they're touring with John Vasano and Tony Loreno, and it's like, fucking hell. But Napalm Death just also released Order of the Leech, and
Yeah.
Strapping on Ladder just put out the self-titled album. So it was it was a heavy lineup. Like it was really good competition. It was amazing too. It was an amazing like bunch of people to go travel the states with. Um, but they're all like in either big expensive buses getting driven around.
Yeah.
Or I remember Napalm Death like had a bus sorted for them, but like so often happens with the states, like they got fucked, turned up there, and their bus had been given away to someone else.
Oh my
We
God.
we we also learned early on that yeah, when you arrive in the states, like unless you got I know some muscle behind you, like any contracts aren't worth the paper they're written on.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, Napalm Death did an entire tour of the States like in an airport shuttle. Um, yeah, which couldn't have
You
been,
know.
yeah,
Holy
you
shit.
couldn't have been anything more uncomfortable, like unless you'd like toured in go-karts. Uh,
Yeah,
I,
Mario
I
Kart.
think I think the only one of them who got an easy go of it was Jesse Jesse Pintado. He traveled with us most of that tour.
Oh,
Um, yeah, I know, right? Like
mate.
he was a cool guy.
Yeah.
Um, I think he did it like because he was on a drinking ban with his own band, but we're we're Australians. You know, one of the things about a motorhome, you've got all that undercarriage storage
Yeah.
area, and quite often, like we've got all this booze on our rider that we've got zero chance of like drinking, so we just take it at the end of the night and store it under the bus. So yeah, we were just like rolling piss heads. Anyway, uh, so I would on tour. It wasn't so much about movies for me. It was it was about reading.
Okay.
I usually travel with books.
Nice.
Um, yeah, and also I wouldn't listen to much music in between bands because like you're getting enough death metal
Yeah,
as it
yeah.
is.
Totally.
I was going to say that tour with like strapping was a little bit different. Like Devon and I started just like swapping music, and each day would give each other something. We kind of worked out early on that we were wanting something different from non-stop blast beats like listen to while you're
Yeah.
on tour.
Right.
So we were swapping like music a fair bit.
What was he giving you?
He gave me Wesley Willis. He'd step off the tour bus like in Chicago, and Devin would be like, "Rock over Chicago, Budweiser's King of Beers."
Oh,
But I gave you stuff like Soul Coughing, um,
yeah.
you know, uh, I struggle to remember what else, but those were a couple of the ones that like made the rounds.
You need some out of the
Um,
box stuff a bit though, don't you? Because as you say, you just listening to it every night, all night, and need a
yeah,
bit of a break.
I was gonna say like we played with Exhumed last year, like a Werewolves gig.
Oh wow.
And yeah, and Matt Harvey and like Ross Surridge were upstairs, like chilling in this sort of like green room area, but they've got like this really awesome touring kind of like playlist that they listen to, and it's like a lot of soul funk kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I think like my head turned because they were listening to some when I walked past there was some Rick James on.
Oh, nice.
um and that's normally like quite often when Matt and I are driving around, if we're not listening to metal, it's either NWA or Rick James that goes on the stereo. So yeah, I was kind of like, hey, what you listening to there? And Matt was like, this is just our touring playlist, just the metal gets too much sometimes. And I was like, yeah, all right, I
Yeah,
definitely hear that.
I feel you.
Um, so the other thing that we did for entertainment was we'd often travel with a gaming console.
Oh, nice.
Um, and I remember we had I think it was the Sega, so we had Mortal Kombat on it, and yeah, we did a tour with like Immolation, Vader, and Origin, and Vader ended up spending a fair bit of time like on the tour bus, like Simon uh, Mauser. um, and then Doc ended up and their mixer Oggy ended up coming on board, and then I think Peter eventually like made his way onto there. But it was Australia versus Poland, like Mortal Kombat.
Oh,
The
so
fun,
sick.
yeah, the funniest thing was like those guys didn't really speak much English apart from Peter and Oggy. So quite often the guys would just be there and we'd fire up and be playing, and yeah, just that's how we learned those infamous Polish swear words like Kurwa.
Oh, Cordoba. Yeah, that's a classic. That is.
Yeah.
Oh, mate. Oh. So what sort of books and that do you like sort of reading and stuff? I quite like reading books myself.
Oh my God. Uh, it's a bit like my musical tastes in that like I go all sorts of stuff.
Yeah,
So oh fuck me. Back
yeah.
in the day, actually, like all the way from fiction, non-fiction, science
Yeah,
fiction to murder mystery. Like back in the day, it might have been James Elroy, American Tabloid.
nice.
Um, yeah, like I think I was reading that on the first tour of the States, and that was, you know, tour manager was playing at the drive-in. What was it? That last album that they did, like back in 2001, their breakthrough one,
Oh, it's
with
the drive car one at the drive-in. It's got that fucking car thing on it, isn't
it,
it, or something? I think.
oh,
Have a
it's got
look.
that song One Armed Scissor on
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Like yeah, Relationships
Oh,
to
that's
Command or
it.
something like
That's
that.
it. That's it. Yeah, sorry,
Yeah,
Trojan horse. It's got the horse on it.
that's it.
Yeah.
So and Deftones, I think, had just done White Pony, like or at
Oh,
least, yeah, the billboard for that was up next to the Whiskey or Go Go when we drifted past there. So I was like non-stop on tour, like getting like my first lap of the States ever. I was getting Deftones, White Pony, and at the drive-in. Um, while reading James Elroy, American Tabloid. And I think I mixed it up with Michael Moore's like Stupid White Man as well.
oh, okay. Yeah, awesome. Oh, mate,
um, so yeah, I was going through that. But if I'm talking about everything, I've read a lot of Clive Barker.
nice.
Um, yeah, there's no guy who's like he doesn't have a middle ground. It's either fucking amazing or it's just like you get to the end of it and you're like, oh, I'm never reading this shit again.
Yeah, oh, that's the
Um,
worst feeling as well, isn't it? You get to the end, just fucking load of shit.
yeah, like some books, like start off really strong as well. Like Sacraments, the first half was really good, and then the second half just kind of like dissolved into nothing. Um, Used to read a lot of Neil Gaiman as well.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I think American Gods is probably like the last one of his that I read. And I'm not
Great
saying
book
that
that
just
is.
because he's been cancelled to Beyond
Oh,
or whatever, but like,
yeah, yeah, yeah. That was fucking wild. All that shit. Holy fuck.
oh, yeah, it's that kind of shit. That's like why Werewolves did that song "No More Heroes." It's like it's seriously everyone that I've ever thought was cool. It's come out at some point that they're like a monster or a molester or like have robbed or raped or murdered. It's just like
Yeah,
fuck's sake.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. At least you don't have a tattoo with like any sort of Neil Gaiman, bits and pieces. So many people get like tattooed with stuff like that. So, time to get a laser out.
I've got a mate of mine in Finland, a guy called Franz. He sang for a band called I think it was Medea. And I did this like little breakbeat project with him and a guy in Liverpool called Rob. Anyway, like yeah, Franz is showing off his neurosis tattoo, and then like I think literally the week after that, the news about like Scott came out
Yeah.
about all the domestic abuse, and I was just like, ah,
Fuck.
fuck.
Yeah, it's so bad, isn't it? It's just like people that get
Great
like,
timing, Franz.
yeah, tattoos of footballers and that, and they come out as like monsters and stuff. Yeah, it's just you gotta be careful, aren't you? Fucking people.
It's a weird era like where just yeah I'm not I'm human evolution moves so slow, social
Mm.
evolution moves so slow, but we've fucking put things into fast forward over the last few years. I don't think we're ever meant to know this much about each other.
No. Oh,
You know
100%.
I remember when I was growing up I used to sometimes think what it'd be just the fucking chaos that would erupt in the world if all of a sudden everyone got telepathy
Oh,
and your thoughts and everyone else's thoughts were like laid bare. Um, and I was just like Jesus, and I reckon we're not far off that at the moment. Like,
no.
yeah, you know what people are thinking and eating, you know,
Yeah.
largely in the ballpark at any given moment. And if they're fucked up or someone's perceived them to have like fucked up, you will find out about it. You'll read it if they've got any profile.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah, we're at a real weird stage. I know our generation, like round about now, we've been through all that, and people tend to be a little slightly more circumspect
Yeah.
online. But yeah, I still love watching young people just like run their mouths, or older ones
Oh,
who still never got used to computers and social media, just like say something just like unfathomably idiotic and racist, and just watch the world pile on. I'm
yeah.
like Bill Burr. I love watching people ruin their careers and fuck their lives
Yeah,
up over
yeah,
that.
yeah. There's plenty of it on fucking Twitter and stuff, man. Like it's just as you say. Like we never really meant to. You know, we were only meant to be in like small communities. You know, I kind of like missed the times
Yeah,
where like the news was like on at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, and it was just local news. You know, like in your local area. Now it's all 24/7, all over the world. It's always
yeah.
murder, fucking natural disasters, all this sort of shit, and you just think, fucking hell. You
It's
know,
really funny. Like when I was in my early 20s, like me and my mates used to, and it used to be all about you put the TV on and then whatever you're watching, the news came on. And we'd be sitting around pulling bongs, like,
yeah.
until we could feel our brain cells crackle. And the news would come on and we'd all look at each other like through our red eyes, and we'd be like, murder, death, floods, hate, evil, poison, dictators,
Yeah.
war, death. And we just start chanting all that at each other. Just like
Oh, fucking hell.
And
Oh.
I was going to say, like, we got to the end of the Werewolf song, All the Better to Eat You With. I tried doing, like, lyrically something similar to what we used to say when we were all bonged out, like, when we were younger, like,
Yeah.
which is why that song just, like, goes from, like, a subject matter to me just suddenly going, rape, death, evil, hate, poison.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, fucking hell. Yeah. What a wild time that we're living in.
Mm.
So, Sam, to finish off, mate, what would your death row meal be?
Oh, fucking hell. That's hard because I'm quite the that's hard because I'm quite the gourmand, and there's like a million things I love eating, and
Me too. You can have
yeah.
it all. It's like a big
Uh,
fucking meal. I'm the same, man. If I was on death row and I had to pick a meal, I'd be like, fuck, like, what the fuck am I going to eat?
if I could go back in time to that 15 course degustation I had at the Fat Duck, like a couple of months after they got their third star, like that would be great.
15
But
courses. You just drag
yeah,
it out as long as possible. Just be like, if I have 20 courses, you can't kill
yeah,
me soon.
precisely. Or like there's a chef like called Pierre Gagnier, like who's famous for doing degustations where he just like keeps rolling the desserts out until you're, diabetic and in a fucking coma. Like seriously, like if you do one of his shorter ones, then you get like three desserts, but you get a palate cleanser before it, and each dessert is normally a couple of plates of things, and then you'll get like the petit fours after it, and then you get like the sweets trolley like roll up, and that's the shorter one. Like he does, bigger ones, and that comes after all the savories. So yeah, to be honest, maybe yeah, Pierre Gagnier in his prime, like just because I'd be with my body's condition at the moment in my 50s, I'd probably go out from a diabetic coma before they got the fucking needle into me.
The best way to go. You're already
Yeah.
asleep. Fuck it. You know what I mean? Oh, awesome, man. Well,
Mm.
yeah, thanks very much for the chat, Sam. It's been an absolute pleasure. I've been looking forward to this for a long time. Um,
Oh, good to finally
you
chat
know,
with you, man.
yeah, it's kind of weird, like, because obviously, like, I must have heard the Berserker when about 2002, I think it must have been around that time. So, been in my life quite a
Mm.
long time. So, I was really looking forward to this chat. So, glad that we
Can't
could take the time.
can't believe it nearly skipped my mind. If you like Berserker stuff, I noticed Luke started putting some old film clips that he'd worked on for the final album called The Reawakening, and he's putting them online over the last week or so. So,
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah,
um,
I'll have a look at that.
yeah, there's one called The Deception. So look up the Berserker Deception, and that'll be on there at the moment.
Nice. So, if I
It's
can check that out.
actually it's got a bit for everyone, that clip. Yeah.
Is it? Was it cool? I'll put it in now. The Berserker Deception.
Yeah. Yeah, you go for it.
Yeah, I'll have a look. I'll have a look. Right. Okay. Well, yeah. Thanks very much for your time, and we'll hopefully chat soon when album number 6 drops.
Oh, by the end of the year. It's been a
Yeah.
pleasure, dude.
Thank you, man. Thanks, Sam.